What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. Welcome back, or welcome here if you're new. I don't know. Maybe you're new. What are we talking about today? So we're going to touch on licensure because there was, what was it, like the House Bill 49, or I don't know exactly what it is, but so they removed the booth rental license, which was a little redundant if you think about it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you've listened to me ever, you know my stance on licensure for hair. It's just kind of silly in general.
Less is better.
Yeah, anytime the government is like involved with stuff that they shouldn't be, it just confuses it.
Mm-hmm.
And hair is not, it's
essential. Stop it now.
Oh yeah, it's essential. Hair is essential. Anyways, and then we're going to talk about asking better questions because I think people have it wrong.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think it's a good reminder or refresher. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, and by have it wrong, what I mean is people dying on the hill for their beliefs. People would rather sabotage their business than to sort of stray from their beliefs. And that to me is silly.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, why would you kill your business? But
Who knows?
all right. So the licensure thing, let me see if I can find it real quick.
I never even really thought of this as like I guess even a topic, but when I saw that it was dropped, I will say I thought, we just were talking about this, like it makes sense. Why do you need to why are you having a bunch of licenses? Like you're a cosmetologist or you're a barber, whether you work under the shop license and you're renting a chair or you work under the shop license and you're commission stylist, like your license is your license. Like why need to have a separate one? It's weird.
Yeah. You know what? I think it's in my phone. I'm pretty sure I saved it somewhere. Nope.
Oh.
The bill. I looked up the bill.
Oh, that's right.
Bear with me.
I'm bearing. It would be interesting. I mean, can't really comment below, but to hear people's thoughts on this, I always think when things change, people get irate because...
House Bill 409.
Oh, I think you said 49. Oh, you're close.
So the part that was crossed out, if you can search this up online, but the part that was crossed out, which means removed, they leave it in here and they just literally cross it out so that you can see the change. But it says booths attached to or within a shop or salon or barbershop that are operated independently of that salon or barbershop shall be subject to licensure in the same manner that an independent establishment or as an independent establishment, except that each independently operated booth shall not be required to have a separate sink or shampoo bowl. Sorry that came out like that. I'm reading it with a line through it. So that was removed. So you shall be subject to licensure. They already are. You're already licensed. So if you own a booth rentals, structured salon, that business has a license, a shop license,
and the individual has a license.
And then the individuals have a license already,
right?
Because you have to have a license to do hair for some reason. And then they wanted you to have an additional license on top of that. And then if you have an apprentice, you need a different license than that. So when's that one getting removed? Because that's silly too.
Well, the apprentice one would never get removed if it's an apprentice like the way we do it. Because they need to be accounted for their hours.
No, I mean you were told that you needed a separate
I have an instructor's license. Yeah.
Which an instructor's license, I was told you had to go through schooling for, but they just mailed you one.
I had to pay for it.
I understand. Everyone has to pay for their license.
Which
right?
I never needed.
Is there a free license
before,
out there?
So that was interesting, but...
Right. You have had like a dozen apprentices and all of a sudden they told you, and they've approved it all in the past. It's not like they went back and they were like, oh, these apprentices don't count.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyways, this topic is frustrating to talk about because it often, again, with the government, it's just confusing and they do stuff for no reason. You're not protecting anybody.
Yeah. And I do think also removing it allows a little bit more freedom to move around, because in the past, if you did want that booth rental license, you had to wait to get inspected. You couldn't start until someone could get out. So that's kind of, I guess, helpful on that side. The devious side of me, because there's owners out there that I'm sure do this, it kind of protects people too, because if you think, because I know this from my last salon, if you think your stylist is leaving and is going to be a booth renter, you could easily look that up and see if they've applied for a booth rental license and if they now hold one. So you would be able to, I know you shake your head, but I'm telling you, this devious industry, but now that they've removed it, I think it takes that away too. So everybody just has kind of their way to move around without having to have the state approve them or anybody watching over them. So I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I would never look up someone's license because I don't care.
I know, but there are owners out there who are like, oh man.
Yeah, you.
I don't care. But my last salon, everything was devious. I feel it was just a shit show.
Okay.
We already knew that though.
Yeah, I really don't care what anybody does.
No, I think this is gre't. I would love to see.
I want to see more freedom for people. Like, yeah, stop requiring stupid licenses.
It's a step in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, now get rid of the rest of them. Like, why? Like, even the people are going to try to crucify me for this one, but you don't need a license to do hair. Like, I know you are required by the state to have one, but there are so many jobs that are can do more potential harm to the public than that don't require licensing. And until those are regulated, I don't understand why hair would be on the list.
Yeah.
Because it's hair. And some people are like, well, we work with chemicals and that could be dangerous. I can go to the store and buy all of those chemicals in bulk and do whatever the fuck I want with them without a license.
Mm-hmm. True story.
All I need is to pay for them.
You can also go to Sally Beauty and get a bunch of that stuff without a license.
Right. People act like getting hydrogen peroxide is like harmful to the public. It's just, there's no, having the license doesn't protect anybody. I don't know why people.
Yeah. And I think if you're like thinking like, oh, I'm getting fired up here, but I look at it as if there was less licensure for me, as I'm going to call myself an instructor now because I have an instructor license. As an instructor, I could reach more people. I'm not allowed to have more than one apprentice. So the school that I run under Hello is only one person at a time. I could reach so many more people if that changed, and it would be amazing.
Yeah, we've had a handful over the past even couple of months that want to be an apprentice, but you're limited because of licensure.
Yeah. So, I mean, in one sense, I look at the potential of stuff that I would like to do and would be able to do it the way I would want to, and that would be really cool.
We should just open a school.
I'd have to run it through the board, though, so that wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you could maybe be a private. It would have to be because...
You still need to get licenses for the students, and you need to be licensed.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everything is...
That's why I don't do it.
Oy, oy, oy. All right, anyways, let's move on. Okay. So, I want to talk about asking better questions.
Yeah, I like this one.
So, one thing isn't better for 100% of people than something else, because the world doesn't work in 100%.
Correct.
So if you say, let's pick, well, we were talking about booth renting. So let's pick booth renting, and I don't know why people say verse, but verse being an employee.
Okay.
I've seen people that say it's impossible to make money as an employee. I know that's not true.
Correct. That's false.
Okay, that's false. But they've said, I read comments and I see these things on social media. It's where I get a lot of these topics, because it's like you just research, see what people are talking about. But renting isn't for 100% of the people, just like being an employee is not for 100% of the people. If you look at topics like pricing, some people are like all in on hourly pricing. Mm-hmm. Some people are all in on a la carte. Mm-hmm. Some people have a hybrid sort of system. There's all sorts of pricing structures, right? But the point is, one of them is not perfect for 100% of the people.
Right.
And if you're looking at something and you're like, wow, my data, and I doubt anybody, somebody has actual numbers, please hit me up. But if someone out there is looking at stuff and they're like, well, 100% of the time, hourly pricing was better. You just don't have a large enough sample size. Your sample size is too small. That's just basic. Because if you look at anything in the universe, right, everything that exists, nothing is 100%.
Mm-hmm. I think when it comes to pricing too, a lot of times I think you should try different things, but then I think hybrids are, for me, what I've seen, work the best because there's some stuff that will work in one model and some in another. And it's really cool to kind of bring them together.
Correct. And I think that a lot of this comes from people just building these echo chambers around themselves and trying to create that sort of mob mentality. Mm-hmm. And to have a whole bunch of followers just sort of beat your drum and agree with you.
Right. And I think if you...
go
ahead.
Go.
If you have, I was going to say, a mentor that's like, this is the way you do it and this is what's going to give you the most success, you're with the wrong person because just because something worked for them does not mean it's going to work for you. And your mentor should be there to figure out your journey and your path, not just tell you theirs.
Well, that's what a mentor is. If you had a business coach, they're probably... So the word coach would, to me, mean more of like a specific thing. Like you're very focused on one specific area, where a mentor is just going to guide you through the processes. I never tell people do this or do that. I would say, here's what I would try in this situation if it were me. Mm-hmm. Here's why.
Yeah.
Here's what could go wrong. Here's what else I would think about. Stuff like that. But I think we have to start asking better questions with our businesses and leadership and any sort of decision making. So, for example, in the gym industry, everybody would ask, like, so I had a gym, we did a lot of group fitness, and people would always say, how many members do you have? As if that were some sort of insight to how much money was coming into the business. Mm-hmm. And everybody thinks, oh, it's simple math. It's like $150 a month times, 50 people is this. But they don't know what other things you're doing, nutrition programs and one-on-one training and stuff like that. So one member could be paying $150, whatever your entry-level product is, and one could be paying $1,500.
Right, depending on what they're adding on to their services with you. Yeah.
Asking better questions would give you more information. Mm-hmm. So maybe a better question might be, what's your average revenue per member? Mm-hmm. Because if I look at a gym and they have 10 members, but those members are all paying $10,000 a month, and there are personal trainers out there making that much.
The membership doesn't matter.
The 10 doesn't matter.
That's like people ask me too, like, how many clients do you do in a day? Like trying to figure it out. I'm like,
I don't know.
What is,
all of them.
I don't know. But also it doesn't necessarily matter how many clients, what's happening. Like there's just so much more to that. Also, you don't know what someone else has you could try to be counting the clients or the members or whatever you're looking at, but you don't know what that business has for debt, for loans, for stuff that's going on. So what their bare minimum is to what yours is going to be extremely different.
For sure. Another question that might be interesting to ask is how long it's to do with retention, which carries over to this industry. How long on average do you retain your clients? Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
In the gym world, that was a huge one. When you have 30 people a month leaving, that means you have to replace 30 people every month. Right. That's a pain in the butt. So if you can get that down to like one person leaving and you're bringing in 5, whatever, or more, you know that you're at a net positive. Mm-hmm. But again, most people aren't thinking that next level, that just one step deeper in that mindset. So a lot of people think, I want to make $1 million. What gets me to $1 million? That's not the right question.
I like this one. I think this is a good scenario or story to tell. Go ahead.
There's not a story.
I know.
That's just the wrong question. I think we should be asking ourselves, what gets us the next opportunity?
Right.
Because if you want to get to $1 million, maybe think about how you make $1,000 and replicate that.
Yep.
a bunch of times. It's easier to, I guess, baseball analogy. It's going to be a lot easier to hit a bunch of singles and get on base and drive in runs than to try to hit a home run every single time. Yeah. You shouldn't be swinging for the fences every single time because you're going to create a business that's not stable.
I think that exposes also the shiny, exciting stuff, like $1 million. I don't have $1 million. Of course you do. But if you don't start somewhere or start small, you're never going to get to $1 million. And then you're just going to every year be like, why don't I make $1 million? So I think this is a really important one to drive home. Like if you want $1 million, you need a long-term plan on how to get there, which is, like you said, start being 1,000-aire and getting that and getting that often, and then you can grow from there. You're not just going to wake up and have $1 million because you decided you wanted to have that or because that's your goal. And I think a lot of people fall flat on that is because the goal is so big, they don't know how to scale it back to make mini steps to get there, and that the journey is long or longer than you may think and longer than you may have the patience to wait for, and then you never get there.
Yeah, not taking any steps is not going to help you at all. That should be common sense, but
that's the most important.
We still see people that are just sitting around
every day,
literally
all day.
Just sitting around waiting for something to happen.
If you don't take action and control of that stuff, it's never going to happen.
Right. So what are some other examples and that we can talk about with asking better questions?
So let's talk about somebody.
What about building a client? Or
go ahead. That works.
We can do yours first.
I was going to say social media because I think it kind of works with the money one too, but
like followers.
Yeah. I think that I don't even think it's important, but I know to a lot of people, there's something that they feel will make them feel successful or feel elite by having a lot of followers.
At that point, just buy them like most people out there.
So you have
just
that.
Buy your followers. If that's what's important to you, you can do that. Just buy your followers like everyone else and you're all set. Now you have a big following and now what? You have $1 million?
No, you have nothing.
No, you just have a bunch of people from other countries that don't have any posts or anything that are like bot accounts. Yeah.
But again, if you're looking to get authentic followers, that would mean you have to consistently be posting so much a day, every day, content. So don't just think.
And it has to be content, not just the back of someone's head.
Correct.
And you write purple fizz or whatever.
But if that's your goal and you want to gain traction in the social media world, then you need to lay out a plan with, you're right, like really great content, focused. What are you trying to do? And it has to be consistent and a lot.
So this podcast is about asking better questions. So what questions should somebody be asking if they want to build their following?
Probably how to make focused content, how to organize for
how do I get people to stop?
Yep, stop on their posts.
How do I get people to pause their scrolling?
And how do you organize your week for how many posts do you need to post on stories and on your page to even get noticed? Like, what does that look like? Like, it's not just simple. It takes work and organizing and laying out a plan.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what I would tell somebody if they were like, I want a million followers. I'm just using the million word.
And you might have to focus on,
I think the first question I would ask somebody, so somebody comes up to me and they're like, Todd, my goal is to have 100,000 followers on Instagram. My first question would be, why?
Right.
I think that's a far better question than how do we get to 1 million? Because getting, or whatever, 100,000, I don't even care.
And they may not know why. I don't know, because everyone else seems like they are doing cool stuff if they have them. Or maybe you think that's going to make you money and somehow you're going to get endorsed or be able to do that stuff.
I've seen that as well, too, which is, just kind of chasing.
Yep. But you do have to, I think the why is big because for me, I just want to reach the people in my area that I want to do their hair, or I want to reach the people that I want to attract to work for us at our salon. I'm not worried about how many followers I have. Just not a lot anyway. And I don't care.
Yeah, I don't worry about follow count on stuff. I look at the value that content brings. So what we try to do for our salon page is to show people having a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's to show off the things that we do with and for our staff.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a ton of compliments on it. We don't have a ton of followers, but people come in and we do have people that say, I found your Instagram. Your place looked wicked fun. I wanted to check it out. And now they become a paying client.
Right.
If you're posting the back of the head, and I pick on that because it's what we see in this industry, right? In the gym industry, it was the back of somebody sitting on a rower. That's what people would post. Right. And I get it. You're not a photographer, but if you want to create content that is engaging, you have to think like a photographer.
Yeah. And you have to think what's going to set you apart to get someone to stop on your picture, to stop scrolling and literally look at whatever it is you're trying to tell them.
I said this to our staff yesterday because we've been working on getting some new photos and having some fun with that to create some engagement with our team. And I was like, when you scroll through and you're seeing literally the back of the head, and this could be amazing hair, by the way, this stuff, and the photo might be great too, and the lighting and whatever filter you chose to put over it and all that stuff, it could be a great photo. But do you know how many people I know that can do that? A lot.
Right.
What separates you? So I would say, why do you want those followers? How do you create engaging content that gets people to pause? And then, what did I just say? What was the last thing I said? I forget.
Getting people to pause.
Oh, and then what separates you?
Right.
What separates you?
And then you do want to have, if they do stop on that picture, what do you want them to do with that? Like, that call to action is really important on that too.
Yeah, give people like one thing to do. Don't list out 75 things for them to do.
No, it's too overwhelming.
When you're like DM or call or email or text or go to the website or go to the link in my bio or send me an email. Like
now I just moved on.
Yeah. I know you think you're making it easier, but this isn't the Cheesecake Factory. We don't need all these options. All right, let's talk about building a clientele. That's a good one too. So what questions can we ask to help somebody build a clientele? So someone comes in and they say, I want to build my clientele. How do I do that?
Well, social media could help, but I think in this case, honestly, one of the best ways is look the part when you're out in public so that people are like, oh, I love your
questions. You keep going to the answers.
Oh, sorry.
What questions can we ask?
See, I need to learn how to ask better questions.
Yeah, you just try to give the answer to something that's not the point here.
All right.
Jennifer.
So why don't you lead this out then? Because I'm the answer person.
So the first thing I would ask somebody is, what the hell does that even mean? I want to build my clientele. Do you have any clientele now? What if the person has? So if this is perfect, okay? Because if you just jump in to this as, oh, here's what you should do. You should look the part and you should do this and you should make yourself available here and you might want to work a Saturday shift. What if the person turns around to you and says, well, I already have a big clientele. I'm just not making money.
True.
So now we have to ask, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Why do you want to build a clientele?
Right. Or why are you not making money? Like,
right.
Like
so
what's going on
what does your
here?
pricing look like? So it's you have to ask questions on a deeper level because it just the arbitrary, I want to build a clientele.
Yeah.
That's cool. But what does that really mean?
And to each person, that's going to be very individual. Like you just said,
so
like depending on what their needs are or what's not going well.
And so someone coming right out of school, that's a whole other thing. For them, I would say, what steps are you taking to work on being virtuous? So what steps are you taking to do the common uncommonly well? So I know that you come out of school and you have a limited skill set, but you have a skill set. What are you doing now to elevate that?
Right.
So you're good with scissors. What are you doing to get better? Because everybody comes out of school with something, right? So you're good with clippers and short hair. Great. What are you doing to take the next step?
Right.
And that's how you begin to sort of dive into...
Even to be ready to build a clientele.
Yeah, because a lot of people think that if you go to like we've had people that work at our salon and then they want more like, we don't have a ton of walk-in traffic per se. Like people aren't, well, they are now. It's getting busier, but
still, we're not on like a busy road where people are just walking by.
Yeah, we're not in like a strip mall.
We're in a plaza, yeah.
So we're attached to a big gym.
Yep.
And so there's people walking in and out of the gym, and some of them come in. But people think if I worked in like a walk-in place, then I would have clientele. And that I don't think that's wrong. But a better question would be, why do you need so much volume?
Right.
Can you not retain the clients that are coming in? And what are we doing about that?
Mm-hmm.
Because if the walk-ins stop coming in, now you just don't have clients.
Correct. I also think, because I do find a lot of you ask, like, do you have a lot of walk-ins? So here's the thing. I think if you're attracted to a walk-in salon, understand that if that's the clientele they're bringing in, those clients aren't generally looking to pre-book and keep coming back in and aren't probably loyal to a salon.
Yes.
They just flop around.
Yeah,
so you might get, like you said, volume, but you're not building a foundation which would equal your paycheck, being something to rely on. You're just kind of going to get whoever comes in last minute, and that's that.
Yeah, we've seen that with people as well. Like they get a bunch of clients, but they're not repeat clients.
Right.
And then they think, oh, I have a ton of business. I'm ready to go off on my own. So they go off to open their own space, and they don't have any clients.
Yep.
Because they thought they had clients, but they never retained any of them.
Right.
And or they were clients of the business, not them.
Correct.
So what does client even mean to you?
Right.
We just need to keep peeling back layers, I think, and doing what we do when what is it, the 5 whys or whatever, when you just keep asking why.
Yeah.
Like that's what we should be doing when we think about these things. But most people just want a surface answer because, well, let's face it too. Like most people aren't going to be successful. It's very difficult,
right,
to make anything work.
It's just the truth.
It's difficult to run a business. It's difficult to build a business.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult to manage people. It's difficult to have to worry about products and supplies, what you can't get, what you can get, what's back ordered this week. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like so most people aren't going to put in the work.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what structure you pick. You go rent a booth, you're not going to put in the work there just because you are in a different scenario.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're
in the honeymoon phase, right? So you'll put the work in for like a small amount of time, and then before you know it, you're right back.
Tops.
Yeah, you're right back to where you were, because if that's not your work ethic, it's not magically going to change, whether you're a salon hopper or you're trying different ways of going independent or working in a commissioned salon. Like that's going to be on you, because that's who you are.
That's our son. You can hear our son Oliver breathing. He's sitting on mom's lap.
Yes, he is.
Chilling.
He's my buddy.
So I guess the point of this podcast was to just get people to think about asking more questions, but asking better questions as well.
Absolutely.
What gets us an opportunity is a better question than how do I make $1 million?
Right. Because what if you could make more than that with more opportunities?
Right. Like when I use the million, obviously that's just an arbitrary
it's
number
a fun
I'm throwing out. But when people come to me I've had people in the past that have said I want to make X amount of dollars. So I need X amount of commission split. And then I do math and I'm like, okay, if we do it this way, you're going to make more money. Mm-hmm. But then they're not comfortable with, for example, raising prices is an easy way to give yourself a raise.
And a good one.
Yeah. So the person doesn't want to go through the work of raising their price though, because that can be uncomfortable. You have to inform clients, and now you're nervous because you do what's called projecting, and you think I can't afford me. I always used to think that when I had my gym. I was like, wow, I could never afford this. But it's easier. I guess I was getting back to the point with people don't really want to do the work. So they just want more money, but they haven't brought anything more to the table.
Right. Because if you if you're in that scenario and it's time to raise your price and that would give you a raise, you need to make sure you're giving the value of what that looks like at that price point. And that might mean stepping up your game or anything, but that's on you to do that. And that means more work or more effort or working on your skill set more. And that's where it's at.
What have you done to deserve that too? You know, you don't just deserve it for time. Like, why are we here? Why are we talking about this stuff?
Right.
You know? All right. Well, I think I'm done rambling for today.
You did a good job.
Thanks. I don't really feel like you contributed a whole lot. No,
I don't feel like I offered much on this one. I'm sorry, folks, on that one, but I tried my best.
All right. So in closing, if you have a goal and you're not quite sure how to get there, start peeling back the layers, right? And write down, and do this too. You can do it on your phone, on a laptop. I like to work on my laptop. You can do it on paper. You like to work on a notebook, but write it out. Like, write out your goal and then just start asking questions. And that's going to reveal your plan and your strategy for you.
And if you need help, that's where you can reach out to us. You find a mentor. Like, that's what they're there for, to help you take those goals and really lay out the steps to get there. So you will get to that goal.
And one of our episodes coming up, we're going to talk about taking action with your business too.
Like it.
So stay tuned for that. And if you need anything, reach out and we will talk soon.
Have a great day.
Bye.